Hello, 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 guys. Welcome to Jersey 22. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, guys. How's it been? It's lovely to be here again.
I know, I know. It's a new year, new season, new sports conversation. So we're looking forward
Mhm.
to what this is going to bring. Overall, man, how have you been? How have you been? We actually owe people an apology, sir, because we didn't do anything in
Why
Jan.
do we owe them an apology? I think what we do now is that like we have like special moments, probably like there's a competition like that held or like it's about to hold. Then
Yeah,
we just come and like record and that's it pretty much. I mean, life
fair
is
enough.
busy, I guess. But I mean, we have other
That's
things that
true.
we're doing.
That's true,
But I
sir.
mean,
That's true.
maybe like this year, hopefully, we'll be consistent. Maybe once
Yes.
every month, we'll be giving them something, you understand? Jara, here and there, that kind of
Is
thing.
is that is that a promise? Once every month? Is that a promise to the
Bro,
people?
I mean, see, it's not just up to me. It's a two-way thing. It's me and you. So we have
So now
we
you're
have to
throwing me
agree.
back.
No, I'm not saying because it's not just me now. Now me and you did one. If it was me alone, I can speak for myself, but I can't speak for you. Do you understand?
Oh, fair
So
enough. Okay. Since you're putting me under the bus, I think that's a goal we should go for at least once every
Ayana,
month, starting
Ayana,
February, to drop at
starting
least one
February.
episode. So, but
Yeah,
yeah, thank you all for staying with us and rolling with us. But today we're just going to discuss AFCON reaction. So we have a bunch of bullet points and post AFCON reaction that we want to talk about. But I guess the first thing we wanted to speak of was, how do you see Morocco as a host overall throughout the tournament? What was your overall take on Morocco as the host nation? Yeah, tell me.
yeah. Okay, Morocco. Well done, oh man, well done. I mean, for the AFCON that just concluded. Bro, why
Why
did
do
you
I feel
laugh?
like there's a two-way well done though from that side? But I'll let you
No,
finish.
no, no,
I'll
no.
let you.
Within, like Morocco, as well as even the fans, journalists, everybody, they said it was good. The trains, the buses, everything was top notch, right? Although I heard that the weather was a bit, funny, especially in the group stages, that it was raining a lot. Even some of the players are complaining that, that was like an issue. But I mean, outside of that, I don't think there was any other, problem. In terms of event delivery too as well, I think it was fantastic. They had like fan zones for the fans, some artists, worldwide artists like Burna Boy, he came to perform, other
Yeah.
people came to perform. So I think generally speaking, if I was to rate them over 10, outside of, some things we'll talk on later in the show,
Now you're
I
talking.
will
Well,
give
carry
them,
on.
yeah, I'll give them an 8. An 8. I think an 8
Hmm.
is okay. It's fair. In terms of
Yeah.
just, the organization and being the host, right? Outside of those other things we're going to talk on later in the show, I'll give them an 8. But yes, it was a fantastic one from Morocco and tops up to them. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's have your own view on it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think overall, as a host nation, they were amazing. The entire ambience around the competition, the way they made people feel welcome to their country, very reminiscent of what Ivory Coast did in the previous AFCON.
Mhm.
Like you said, I think one comment that I saw on Twitter that kind of made so much sense as well is in terms of the infrastructure that you mentioned earlier. I
Yeah,
think Morocco's infrastructure is probably the best we've seen in Africa in a long time, since we have become smarter and older and wiser to see
exactly.
football in the real sense of things. And you can see that translate, like the previous AFCON where Ivory Coast hosted. You saw some underdogs here and there just sprinkle into like round of 16, even quarterfinals. But this time around, because of the structure and the
Mhm.
infrastructure that Morocco provided, a lot of the time you're seeing, like, for lack of a better one, this is no disrespect to other African nations, you saw the big dogs come out to play pretty much, right? Like you
Mm.
saw, the big African nations in the last rounds of the competition. And that's due to the fact of, in my opinion, the stadiums were good and the pitch that they were actually playing on were also really good, because a lot of these players are of European, training. So from France, plays abroad, and that translates to the quality that they've been used to abroad. So when you look at the infrastructure that Morocco provided, players were playing, they were kind of like feeling at home, even though it wasn't home. I don't know if that makes sense. If you get what I'm
Yeah,
saying,
makes
at
sense.
least from as
Yep.
far as the pitch quality is concerned, and that's what
Mhm.
you saw. So I genuinely agree with you. I would say, if I had to rate them as well, I would say, based on just infrastructure, I'll say a solid 9/10. In my opinion, just infrastructure. Yeah.
And I want to add another thing to what you just said. In terms of like the big boys, coming out to play and getting to the last 8, um, the Moroccan weather too, I think also played a part, if you ask me, right?
Yes.
Because they
Yeah.
are also
That's
used to
actually
that.
fair.
It's kind of
Colder
cold,
weather.
not too
Yeah.
hot,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
too tropical or whatever. So I think that also kind of played a part because, like you said, most of these big boys, they are all based in Europe, pretty much Europe, yeah. So and then they're already used to that kind of weather. So I think it's a natural for them, right? So they were
Yeah,
like able to
it felt
play.
like a natural fit.
Yeah, exactly. And then with the good pitch and everything. So I think everything just worked well together for them, to
Perfect.
actually go on and, play their football.
And,
So
and
those are
remember as well, it was also in December, right? That rhymes,
yes.
you know. Remember, it was in December. I'm bad. But it was also in December. So a lot of
Yes,
these
yes.
European players were coming from a cold weather, and it just felt natural. Unlike the previous, AFCONs where it was played in the summer period, so you're coming from like a colder environment, and then it's a bit warmer, so your body's trying to adapt, so to speak. So I think that overall helped a lot of the players and teams that played in the tournament, and it was from a hosting point of view, it was an amazing tournament. I genuinely
Yeah.
think
We
one of
give
the
it to
best
you
hosts.
guys. Yeah, we
Yeah,
give it
nine
to
over 10. You guys did amazing. And, we've been always giving Morocco props for the infrastructure of this podcast for the longest, even way before this tournament. Yeah. So, but yeah. The next thing we just wanted to talk about, and I mean, I would apologize, but I guess we'll talk about this first. How did you see the overall Super Eagles performance in the tournament?
Oh, like, see, I was so happy, like, with the way Super Eagles played in this tournament, Baba. Like, I don't even like, I don't think anybody even gave them a chance. I mean, I think
Me
every one of
included.
them, let me put
Me
you under the
included.
bus. Let me do that the bus because I remember like the last episode that we
Episode,
recorded, we
yeah.
were like, you don't see them as one of the favorites to actually go on to win the tournament. I mean, they didn't win it, but I mean, they had a big chance to actually win it, if not for some calls that were made.
Yeah.
I mean, like we'll discuss on that later.
Yeah, definitely,
Let me go
definitely.
back to the Super Eagles. So I think this is the best tactical side that I've seen, from the Super
I,
Eagles since I have been watching football, like, like the Super Eagles, right? Because they were so sound. I think even I was looking at some sites, right, and they told me that the Super Eagles they had the highest ratings, even though Senegal won the competition, right? But in terms of like, expected goals, the big chances that were committed, all those kind of things, all those numbers, everything leaned towards the Super Eagles. So it shows you that like they actually played a superb game entirely in the
100%.
competition. So that's one thing I wanted to say. Then also big ups to Eric Chell as well. That's our coach.
Or more.
At first, when we were doing the World Cup qualifiers, people were like, "Who is this guy?" Because there was a time he was now blaming black magic, which is voodoo, right? So I had question marks, honestly. Like at that time, I was like, how can this guy be telling me that we lost because of black magic by DRT? So that was like, yeah, that was like crazy, like from him, right? But then I think he did well,
Mhm.
to actually come back, and like do well for the Super Eagles, right? So I think he did a
Yeah.
fantastic job with his technical team. That's one thing. And then I don't know if you want to come in, but I have some other things I want to say. But I mean,
Yeah.
okay. Do you want to say
Yeah,
anything? So
yeah.
before I
I
continue?
wanted to just touch on the overall performance. I think you rightly mentioned I give them stick, and in
Mhm.
my defense, and I'm not defending myself fully, but in my defense, when you think about it, we had Ekong just retired, right?
Mm.
Just before the tournament, he said he wasn't going to be going, and he had good reason for that, and I genuinely respect it. And then I just thought, you know, Iwobino wasn't going to do anything for us. Like I remember the last episode and I said, "Come on, that midfield we are cooked.
Bro,
Iwobike."
that guy, to me,
And
honestly, I think he
he
was
he
probably the best player from the squad, but hey, go
man,
on.
he genuinely changed my opinion, and that's what I'm saying. Like I want to publicly apologize to
Apologize.
Iwobi because to me, and when you look at the way Nigeria was playing, if you look at the structure that we had prior before Eric Chow came in, it just seemed like we were just headless chicken playing
Yeah,
football.
true,
Like we
true.
had a lot of quality, we had a lot of good players that played in good teams that were regularly playing football for their compared to like the Mikel sessions where some of them were
Mhm.
like bench warmers, and because they're playing big team, they think they could just slot in. Nah, this crop of players we had play regularly for their club. So but we were not tactically sound. We were not tactically sound. We were not tactically structured
We're not
as
playing
a
as
national
a
team.
as a
We're not
unit.
playing as a unit. Yeah, it was more like individual brilliance that we were relying on. But this entire tournament flipped it on his head. Like Eric
Yep.
Chell, I remember when they initially appointed him. I think also the meme mimification of him also did not help
Yeah,
because if you remember that meme from the last
AFCON. Yeah, I
AFCON where
remember when we
we
were
were
pouring water
pouring
on his
water
head,
out on his head.
and there's smoke. They come up for head.
Yeah, it was just like
Yeah. I
Nigeria.
remember.
You know how Nigerians are. We don't play when it comes to football. And to
Exactly.
us, you're
Exactly.
thinking you're bringing a manager that is literally crashing in front of the entire world to come coach
Mm-hmm.
to come coach SMA United, to
You
come
said,
coach
"Nama, you
Nigeria national team.
see your life outside,
Sorry,
Baba.
my bad,
See
my
your
bad,
life."
my bad, my bad. To come coach Nigeria as a national team coach. But
Yeah.
I take it all back. He's been amazing. I think he's
No,
been one of the
he's great.
best managers we've had in a long time. And even, I don't know if you saw it during the tournament, there were a lot of people saying, how is this Nigerian team not going to play at the World Cup? There were even people like, raising playful petitions to say, we need to petition for Nigeria to go play at this coming World Cup. This is how, and you, opponent for your ops. I know AFCON is like, you need unifying Africa as a whole, but you're not hearing this from Nigerians. You're hearing this from like Moroccans. You're hearing this from Algerians. You're hearing this from Ghanaians, right? Like people from
Even
other
people from
countries.
outside of Africa, like
When the people
Europeans,
outside of Europeans were
Americans,
saying,
everybody
how
was
is
like,
this
"Oh,
Nigerian
come."
team
Yeah,
not
yeah,
playing at
yeah.
the World Cup? How are they not going to be able to go to the World Cup? And I wanted to give special shout out to Bassi. Genuinely, I know I might sound biased, but probably the best defender in Africa right now. Genuinely, I
That's a
genuinely
stretch,
think
but okay,
no,
okay,
no, no,
okay,
no.
okay.
Based on that tournament, I think
The
he's genuinely
tournament, yeah, I think, yeah, yeah. I
one
mean,
of
he
the
was
best
in the
one of the best
best
defenders in
11 for the
you know,
competition. So
he's
yes, I mean,
just amazing.
yeah, yeah.
Like it's just amazing. But yeah, I'll let you come in and
Okay,
add to
yeah.
that.
So just to like continue from what you said. So for me, yeah, I'm going to list 6 players, that I feel like were the best in the squad, right? And in no
Okay.
particular order, right? So for me, I'll start with Iwobi. Like, everybody, like I said, like you wrote this guy up that like this guy is not
I
creative enough,
listen.
he
Yep.
doesn't give the, those passes, those sexy passes. But bro, he was giving them sexy passes, bro, all through the tournament. Like you get me? So this guy for me was up there. That's one. And then the second person, like you already mentioned Bassi. So Bassi also, bro, that guy was solid. That guy a solid rock. You
Too
understand?
good.
Like I was so
Too good.
impressed. Like, even when he was on a yellow card, his tackles were so, spot on. Like he wasn't making
Yeah.
any errors. Like, the guy was just, he was giving us back to back. So I love the Bassi as well. Then Osai Samuel. I know he's always been overlooked, right? But this guy
Yeah.
really did so well for us. Like he played at like right back, right? I was
Yeah.
so impressed with him. Like every time, I mean, obviously there were a few times where he obviously like messed up, but generally speaking, the guy was a solid, I think 9/10 if you ask me, in all the games that he played,
I
right?
agree.
There's
I
another
agree.
person I
Yeah.
want to give a shout out to. Then Ademola, obviously, like I mean, I think he kind of like obviously dropped towards the end in the latter stages of the competition, but generally speaking, I mean, I think he had the most goal involvement of all the Super Eagles players,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
you have to give him his props too as well. So Ademola Lookman too was top. And I just heard recently that he just signed for Atletico Madrid. I don't know if you heard that. So I mean, congrats to him on.
I was hearing stories about between Atletico Madrid and Fenerbahce.
Yeah, yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
we,
So
we
I
can
think he went.
touch on this before the end
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
the but
Exactly. So he's
that's
gone to
good to
Atletico
hear.
Madrid. So yeah,
I
that's
didn't
good
know
for
that,
him.
but that's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
That's amazing. If
yeah,
it was
yeah.
Atletico Madrid, that's fantastic. If it was Fenerbahce, I would
Exactly.
have been pissed. But Atletico
I
Madrid,
know, right?
wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And then the last two for me, Osimhen and Iwabali. Obviously, I mean, Osimhen, even though, I mean, they were like, the whole thing about between him and Ademola, that kind of like
Yeah,
put a dent, in, how well he did. But I mean, generally speaking, I mean, he's our top guy, talisman. So yeah,
yeah.
tops up to Osimhen. And then Iwabali, I mean, he was the one that won us the bronze, right? Because he went out to the
Ah,
penalty
boy,
shootout. Like, you have to give it to him, right?
too good,
Iwabali was solid.
too good.
Yes, and then obviously for the guys who are like squad players, like they are not the starting 11. I want to give shout out to Oyedika too as well. He came in, he did a solid work too as well.
Yes, I was
Because
gonna
even
say,
when we played,
yeah.
when we played against
When we
Morocco,
had Ndidi off,
Ndidi
yeah,
was out because of, so he did a solid job. I mean, so I'll give him his props. Even Chukwueze, I have to give it to him, even though he missed that infamous penalty, right? But I think he did a solid job too as well. He came in whenever he was, asked to play. He did
but
work.
yeah.
I mean, outside of the penalty take is what I'll say, right? And so yeah, that's that. And then two more things before I like move on, or like you have anything to say. So like the squad is relatively young, right? So I think we still have a chance to actually have
There's a lot
this
of room,
same unit, yeah, to actually
yeah,
play in other competitions. I mean, the next AFCON is happening actually next year in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. So I feel like given that like they played so well in this competition, I feel like they can actually build on this, right, and hopefully
yeah.
go on to
I
win
agree.
the whole thing, right? So that's one thing I want to say. And then the last thing is this is not sort of Super Eagles, but I need to give props to Nike, right? Because they did a fantastic job, in trying to like sell the brand, like and selling Super Eagles with the Nike brand, right? Because I don't know if
Mm.
you saw the ad with Okocha,
Okocha,
where he
yeah, I
was
did see that. I did see that.
called the
Yeah,
chief player officer. So I
yeah.
want to give props to Nike. And the thing is that like we are the only country that was rocking a Nike jersey. So I think they really put in a lot of work to make sure that like
Efforts,
they were
yeah, to
there,
make sure that
they were everybody sees, because I think there were 4 countries that were repping Puma, and I think one was repping Adidas. So I think they were taking it seriously. That like, see, we're going to show that like we're
we're the
fully
best.
behind Super
Yes,
Eagles, right?
Nigeria. Yeah,
Tops up to Nike. The kicks, the total night, everything was just
I mean,
awesome. It
I
was a
think
10
I
over
think
10.
Nigeria and Nike have a very beautiful relationship when it comes to
Yeah.
like the national team, right? Like in terms of the way we're represented, and this whole relationship started a while back. And every
Mhm.
time, like genuinely, there I know friends of mine who are not Nigerians who want to rock the Nigerian jersey just because of how creative and
Yeah.
the creative approach that Nike put into it.
The guy
And
who
it's
runs Nike marketing is actually
yeah,
Nigerian. I think his name is Plantain Pampi or something. So tops up to you, bro. So
nice.
fantastic.
So that makes
Yeah, yeah,
perfect
yeah.
sense. Like this
Yeah.
is
I
what
mean,
we
it
call
makes sense,
about
right?
perfect representation, right?
Makes
Like
sense, bro. Yeah,
it
it
is
makes sense.
him making sure that we are put in a good light. And to be quite honest, we're a footballing nation. That is one of the few things that brings Nigeria joy, right? So if we're able to portray us and make Nigeria well known, and I think the performance of the players also did not let the entire, you know, the whole collaboration down. So I
Mhm.
agree. It was a good tournament overall, and representation was great. And when you all the players you mentioned, going back to the players you mentioned, I don't think there's anybody I would change in that list.
Mhm.
But overall, there also were players that, even though, like you mentioned, even though they didn't play, every time they were called upon, they did a lot of stuff. So the special shout out I'd like to just add to that is probably Moses Simon as well. Moses Simon and Ejike. Moses Simon, every time Moses Simon came on, um, it felt like, they take out Chikwueze and bring on Moses Simon. As a defender, you're like, what am I doing with my life? They take out a speedster, they bring another speedster in. Right? It's just a whole shift week in, week out. So for me, I think we played amazing. But for just moving on into our topic of discussion, what were the standout star for you overall in the entire tournament?
In tournaments, yeah.
Which ones
Oh,
do you think of?
okay. So I have a few of them, yeah. So for me, it's still Iwobi. I mean, see, guy, I was really impressed with this guy, honestly, this tournament. Like, you don't see, you don't, and I don't know if you were following his vlog because he was doing a
I
vlog on
was
YouTube.
I was
So
watching a few of those on Twitter.
you
That was
know,
actually very cool.
it
That was
was just
actually very
wholesome,
cool.
bro. Like outside of
Yes,
just
yes, yes,
being on
yes.
the pitch, off the pitch too. Baba was giving us back to back.
Vibes.
So I think
Yes.
it was like a 10 over 10 competition for the guy. Just generally speaking, right? And I mean, given that he's like, I mean, he's the nephew to Kucha, so I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? So I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
props up to Iwobi, right? I think he was solid. Another person was Basi. Basi was solid. Mani. I mean, we can't. This guy is a hero in his country, man. In fact, I
A
think he's a
legend
hero.
now at this point.
He's a
As far as I'm
legend, right?
concerned. At this
Mane
point
was
is
fantastic, fantastic off the pitch and on pitch, fantastic guy. And Diaz, I mean, even though he was, I mean, generally speaking, the Moroccan player. I mean, I have some,
some
reservation.
beef.
That's all I'll say, But I mean,
That
generally
is
speaking,
that
yeah,
is you being politically correct, right?
you get me, bro. But yeah, I mean, Diaz was fantastic. I mean,
Oh
he
my
was the highest
god.
goal scorer for the competition. I think he had 5 goals, right? So give him his
Yeah.
props, right? Diaz was good. And Osimhen, obviously, like, he was also
Wonderful.
fantastic. Pap Gil, that's the guy that scored the winner for Senegal. I think he was also fantastic in the tournament. Then Bono and Bali. I mean, you have to also give it to the keeper as well. I mean,
But yeah,
they
they were
saved the
good.
penalties, like because some of the games went into penalty shootouts too. So I think
Mm-hmm.
Bono and Bali were fantastic in this tournament. So if I was to pick one outstanding player for the entire tournament, it's going to be
Mm.
tough. It's like I cannot say. So that's why I gave like a whole list of players that I feel like they were fantastic during this tournament. So I cannot give you 1%. Do you understand? So those are the
I
players.
would okay. I have a few players
Okay.
that I think were actually good. For Senegal, who was like is incredible to think of. This boy
Mm,
was 17. He winning your first AFCON at 17 is actually madness when you think about it. I can remember I was being at 17 when we were thinking of Wayek and Neko and all those things. And this another 17-year-old boy just winning AFCON. It's actually ridiculous to me to think of. Ahmad Diallo, because obviously my new boy,
Ahmad
and
Diallo
he,
too was
he
fantastic.
genuinely played very, very well in the entire tournament. But and then there was Due for Ivory Coast as well, and Diaz. Diaz, quite frankly, played very well. Remember, like you mentioned, removing all the antics and all the madness that they did, which we're going to touch on later on, he played very well. But to me, if I had to pick one stand-up player for the entire
Mhm.
tournament, it would have been Chris Iniao for Ivory Coast.
Really?
The guy that,
Okay.
yeah, bro, I genuinely think that boy is going to get one of the biggest moves after this entire tournament. Like he needs to have a good, what do you call it, agent around him. But
Mhm.
that boy is a footballer. He should not be playing in. I think he's playing in Trabzonspor right now
Really?
in Turkey.
What position does he play? Because I didn't really
Midfield,
follow the Ivory Coast games.
bro. That boy is good. He's so freaking good. Like the way he controls the midfield, the way he reduces, like he knows when to, add speed to it and reduce the tempo of the game. He reads the game so well, so well. Like when you get a chance, just go watch some of his videos. Chris
I
Iniao
definitely.
for Ivory Coast, very very good player, very very good player. And I'm expecting big things from him. God willing, he has good agent around him, and he makes that
From
move. I don't want
Olumide's
him to come
mouth
to
to
England.
God's ears.
Amen, amen, amen. So that he can send me some part of his shirt to say,
Bro,
for putting the word on to me, because he
you get
genuinely is a very, very good player. I think he's a very good player. Way as well, which is who also plays for Ivory Coast, was very, very good. But yeah, I and it will be obviously Baba. Like
fantastic
again,
player.
please accept my
But
apology.
I think it was my favorite player. Honestly, I'll just give it to Iwobi. And then it's the guy. I was just really impressed. Like I don't know, it was just really good. Even though he
It
didn't
was
score that many goals, he didn't give
he
that many
didn't
assists.
score. I
He
don't even
was
think he
just the
scored
one
at all.
orchestrating. He didn't score.
He
He
didn't.
didn't
I
score.
don't think he scored. But this is also the thing where football is now back. It almost gave us football of when we would watch, and I know this is a very weird comparison, but I'm sure he guesses it regularly. It gives when football was entertaining, when you would watch Ronaldinho, Okocha,
And that's why they did that whole
those
chief
players.
flare officer thing. So it's like it's not
Yes,
just about like direct play.
goals and
Give us some
assists. Yeah, yeah.
tricks and
People that actually change
let's
stuff, right?
let's be happy. Let's watch football and be
It
entertained.
was really good. Like he was very entertaining. I remember one tweet that that killed me when Nigerians was like when Nigeria played Algeria, and obviously Zidane was in the stand because his son plays for Algeria. And someone said, Zidane go they look at the game say, nah, maybe this. when we're looking at Iwobi and saying like,
You
that's
get
definitely me on the pitch. That's definitely me
yeah,
playing on the pitch. That's how good Iwobi
definitely.
was. Like he played
Yeah,
really well.
it was
And you
fantastic.
can tell it was a testament to everybody. Like people watching Nigerian national team were like, there is no way this team is not going to the World Cup. It's a shame that this team is not going to the World Cup. That's how good we played. But we can't cry over spilled milk, and we just need to move on with that. There's still some petitions here and there about Congo potential. I don't know if you heard about that. Congo
Yeah,
potential.
I mean, see, the story is gathering a lot of momentum. Also, I mean, fingers
Really?
crossed. But yeah, I've been following it. But see, look, I honestly, I mean, I'll be happy if we do, but normally I would have preferred that we go through the proper
In
channels,
the
which
right,
is like
yes,
straight
that's kind of how I
qualifying
feel
from the
about it
group
as
stages,
well.
as opposed to like
Yeah.
giving a baton to FIFA to. But hey, look, it's also another way to get in. But honestly, like I'm not really putting my mind there. If we go, okay, oh well and good, But say, we'll see. We'll see. Honestly, like
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
I agree with you. Like, we don't have beef with Congo, and I feel like it's a
At all,
bit
bro.
it's a
Bro, we're
bit
brothers.
weird to go into the World Cup through the Luamba. Patrick Lumumba, yeah. So for me, it kind of like it's gonna if it happens, it will be great, but it's almost like a bittersweet taste, if that makes sense,
Yeah, bro.
because
Yeah.
we're taking a spot from another national team. But however, rules are rules, right? Like if Nigeria qualifies through that route, I'm not gonna be like not supporting and whatnot.
You
So
get, we go support now. I mean, if we do, we go
we'll see how
support
it
them.
goes,
No,
man.
no,
But
no.
I would have just preferred if we went around it the proper channel and whatnot. But hey, let's see how that goes. But yeah, moving on to like fan
No,
engagement.
bro. So wait, chill, bro. Sorry, I
Yeah, go
have
ahead.
some things I want to.
Oh,
Final
okay, sorry, my
thing.
bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like, I have two things here. So, I want to list. No, okay. So, we have the new FIFA rankings, right? So,
Yes, 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 yes.
Nigeria did. I think we got. Sorry, I said get. We got the most points, in terms of like actually jumping places, in the
Yeah,
FIFA rankings. So the first the top African sides, the top three African sides, right? Obviously,
yeah,
Morocco number one is
yeah.
obviously they didn't win the competition, but I mean Morocco is
You know
number
how it
one
goes.
in
Yeah,
Africa, so they are eighth, in the world now, and then so they jumped three places, to eighth, and then Senegal they moved 7 places to 12th position in the world, which is amazing, right? Yeah,
yeah.
and then Nigeria, astonishingly, they jumped 12 places into 26th position. So that's really amazing from Nigeria. So as I said, Nigeria, I feel like we're the best team, even though they didn't win the competition, right? But we did so well, and then we leaped 12 places,
Places,
into
yeah, it's testament, and it's a
fantastic.
shame
Yeah,
we're not going to the World Cup genuinely. And I know
it's a shame.
I keep clamoring on this and keep talking on this. It's a genuine shame that we're not going to the World Cup, especially with the way we are playing right now. But again, it's a testament to. I think what I would like to add to that is to say the same way Morocco, Senegal has been able to woo, for lack of a better word, woo players who are young and say and make them put their allegiances to their national team of their parent or their mother, their father, whatever it is, Nigeria needs to start doing the same thing as well, where we're getting 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds who are looking like world stars, world beaters. We're bringing them into our national team. We're integrating them into our national team. We're helping them understand the value of playing for the Nigerian national team. But that would only happen if a couple of things are in place. If we have good structure, if we have good, if our NFF, they really need to
Administration
pattern
as
up. Our
well.
administration need to pattern up. They've been, for lack of a better word, they've been terrible. Genuinely, they've been very, very terrible. They've been bad over the years. And if they can fix up, we are going to get, and also obviously the infrastructures. I don't think
Yeah.
we have a good stadium, right?
Nah,
You watch
it's
Morocco
only
when
one
they,
tough,
yeah,
approved we have in all of
in a,
Nigeria.
in a country like Nigeria, it is
Mm,
actually incredibly sad to hear. Like
mm.
a country as big as Nigeria, we only have one CAF approved, a national stadium, and it's not like we don't even have local leagues in Nigeria. So you're just thinking if there is just one CAF approved stadium, how terrible are our local leagues,
The
right?
other
Because
ones.
these are some of the things that we need to fix. We need to fix personnels like so and people that let people that actually know about football and care about football be involved in football in
Mm.
Nigeria, and also our infrastructures need to be fixed. If we do all of that, you're going to get players that are on the 17, on the 20, on the 23 who want to genuinely play for Nigeria, not because they cannot get into the Englands, the France, or the Belgium, but because they genuinely want to feel a taste of home. They want to feel like they're back home and things like that. So this is some
But
of the things we
bro,
need to
I
do.
mean,
Yeah,
I would say that Nigeria is the most awarded or the most successful side in the under 17 World Cup. Right. So it shows that we have the talent. I mean, even right from, the young age and everything. So it's not
yeah,
like
for
as
sure.
if we need to even bring them. But I mean, I hear you. In terms of continuation, I feel that's where the issue is because we go on to win under 17 World Cups, right? Beating all the best teams in the world, right? But then as we progress, into maybe the main World Cups, that's the senior team,
Yeah,
we are nowhere to be
it
found.
declines.
It's like
Yeah, but
what
even
happened between 17 and you getting into the senior team, So like what changed, right? Because it's the same people that were, maybe like the Spains of this world or the Argentina and all those guys,
yeah,
going on
you
to
still see
be,
them
world
be
champions.
the national
What
team.
is the
Yes, I
difference
agree.
between,
I agree.
the people who were started from 17 and went on to the national team and then went on to progress and win the whole thing? So it's like there's a gap there somewhere, right? So there's
Yeah,
something needs to be fixed in that space, is what I'm saying.
and
You
and
get
this is the thing you also need to remember. The last, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. The last time we
Mhm.
actually had a good tournament in the under 17, under 20, so was the Osimhen and Chukwueze era. We've actually
Honestly,
been having
I don't know. I've not really
we've
been
actually
following
been
the
having
events.
really poor outing. Sometimes we're not even qualifying for this tournament anymore. This is the state of the decline that we're talking about. Like we've actually declined badly and we need to fix up. Like, yeah, we were winning on the 17, on the 20 tournaments, like no man's business, or at least get into like semifinals, quarterfinals. Now we can barely qualify for this tournament anymore. This is down to poor infrastructure, poor personnel managing the NFF. A lot of them just see it as a money grabbing scheme. It's not like if you improve the infrastructure of the team and build a good infrastructure around this youth tournament, if you stole 1 million, people are not going to give a flying F about it because they know that you've done a good job, right?
Mm,
But if you're stealing and we're not even seeing, if you're not, as Nigerians say, if you're not showing walking, it's like, what are we actually doing here, right? So
mm,
for me, genuinely, because it pains me when you see teams like Morocco where they have players that are under 18 training in Real Madrid, training in Real Betis, saying, yeah, I want to play for Morocco when they could easily be trying to play for Spain. That is just like mind boggling to me. Like an 18-year-old having that conviction in himself to say, or in his or herself to say, I'm going to play for Morocco. A 17 year
They
old.
got to the semifinals in the last World
Yeah,
Cup. So
that's what I'm saying.
they believe that they can actually go on to win the whole thing. So it's like,
Exactly. So this is the thing that I'm talking about. Like the infrastructure is good. The players are seeing like there's opportunity for growth and they feel like they are actually at home when they go play for the national. I mean, look at Senegal. Senegal is another example. How do you know how crazy it is to convince a 17-year-old who plays for one of the biggest clubs in Europe, PSG, and he's not like he's a regular player, but he's part of the first team, to say, I'm not going to play for France, I'm going to play for Senegal at 17. At 17. That is to show you the level of commitment that and the blueprint and the infrastructure they said Mane is 33 now. we see you as the future of the national
The
team. And
future.
he's like, yes, I'm going to go with it. No Nigerian player, no youth player right now in like as that plays in England, France, whatever, can boldly say, or no NFF team can boldly say, yeah, we're going to bring this player on, right? So for me, these are some of the things we need to start thinking about as a national team and as a body to make sure that we actually create the infrastructure and we also create an environment for continuity, in my opinion. But
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. Yep.
is there
Yep.
anything you wanted to add about
I
that
know. Good
as
way
well?
to close that section.
Fantastic. Yeah. So now let's move on to like the fan engagement side. I think this is your forte. This is your numbers game, right? But there was a lot of like impressions overall for this tournament.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got a
Yeah.
lot of celebrities come through. I think the one that really caught me off guard was the Real Madrid players coming to come watch the tournament. I was
Yeah.
like, this is crazy. This is
I know,
genuinely
right?
crazy.
I
And
know.
I know that we have some stupid people, and for lack of a better word, like Jimmy Carragher, who makes it seem like the
Oh, I
AFCON
don't listen to
is
some of those pundits. So all this,
AFCON is AFCON
there's this
is
other guy. I don't even want
is
to
not a
give
good
him.
tournament.
I don't want to give him the
Space, the
spotlight.
platform. You're right. You're right.
But
I
I'm not even
probably
going to
shouldn't
mention
have
his
said
name.
that. You know, you know,
There's another one. I'm not going to mention his name.
yeah, and they try to downplay the
Hmm.
importance of AFCON. It's quite, and I think I've said this before in previous episode. I genuinely think the AFCON is greater than the Euros. I genuinely think in terms of the tournament, the impressions, the vibes that you get from it, the connectivity that the world becomes during the
Hmm.
AFCON tournament, you're not going to get that from any European tournament. I think the closest, I think World Cup is up here as the best tournament in the world. The second
Hmm.
best is AFCON. And
Oh yeah, no.
we can go anywhere.
Repping.
We can go anywhere with that, and that shows you
Repping.
genuinely how good the tournament is, right? So, but yeah, I'll let you talk about numbers here.
All right, bro. Nice one. So yeah, in terms of like how well this particular AFCON did, it really broke. I think it broke like records and numbers, right? So I'll go with the first one. So they said this AFCON, right, over 6 billion views
Can you
across all
imagine?
social media platforms. That's actually crazy, right? 6 billion. I
Crazy.
mean, we know that the entire population of the world, I think, is around like 8 billion or something, right? So I mean, that shows you like that's a lot
And these
of
are not
views.
bots. These are not robots. These are proper human
I
beings
mean,
talking
from
about.
what CAF has
Yeah,
said, I don't know if they are bots or not bots. I mean, they did say 6 billion views, on all social
impressions.
media
Yeah,
platforms. That's fantastic, right? And then the next one was like, this particular AFCON is now the most viewed football continental competition, right? And generating like, over like 5.2 billion views, like video. So that's like crazy, bro. So in terms of like
impressions.
you said, continental, like so all the Euros, Copa America, this is the
Yeah,
one that's had the most views,
I mean,
of all the
numbers
continental
don't
companies.
lie.
So
Men lie, women
5.2
lie,
billion.
numbers don't lie, baby. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah, that's actually impressive, bro. Then another stat is like a total of 285 million engagements were recorded, reflecting an unprecedented level of interaction and emotional investment. And where the most, interactions or people were actually making videos about the AFCON was on TikTok. So I mean, we know that there's a lot of youth engaged, like youth, especially in TikTok, So and
Yeah,
they are the
yeah, yeah.
ones that really do all this kind of thing. So a lot of things were happening on TikTok, and that's where the most engagement, you
What's
could
going on?
see, yeah,
Yeah,
what's going on with the hashtag Total Energies AFCON 2025. So I mean, it's impressive, like what really happened, during this tournament. Like it showed that like a lot of people were tuned in, to actually see what's going on. And I think that finally, maybe even drew more people into it because of the whole
tell
controversy
me
with
about
Emilia
it.
walking off the pitch
Tell
and everything.
me
So I
about
mean,
it.
hey, I enjoyed this competition, even though obviously there were like a bit of, there were weird, calls here and there, but generally speaking, it was fantastic. I think generally because of our players, Super Eagles, also made it
Yeah.
very good for us to actually
Fun,
watch.
yeah. I mean, and then you mentioned something before I let you continue. You mentioned something as well with it will be making vlogs and stuff. I'm not
Yes,
saying
yes,
this
yes,
sway the entire stuff, but like that
yeah,
added a lot
yeah,
of
it did.
relatability, I would say, to the entire thing. Like what what he used to record it was a DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I have the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When you
Okay.
see a footballer who sometimes we put these people on a pedestal that they may not necessarily want us to put them on, and you see that human interaction. Like, bro, this man was
Yeah.
getting Eric Chell to dance and do some silly stuff, and I genuinely thought this was the best national team spirit that we've had in a long time. Like
Long
there was
time.
just like that level of brotherhood, and also having some of these players play in the same club, like the Fulham boys.
Yeah.
Chukwueze, Basi.
Bastian, Obi.
Honestly, you should not have those three in the same place anytime. It will
Those
just be
guys are
bad.
immense, man. They were just like causing
Like
trouble. I mean, good
those
trouble,
three in the same
not like bad
place.
trouble, but it was
Yeah,
like
good
crazy.
trouble of course. Like those
Yeah,
three
yeah.
in the same place, you know that you're just going to be laughing your ass out
Bro,
any
like it
day
was
of the
crazy,
week,
man.
right? So
Did you see that interaction in the bus between Basi and Chukwueze? Like they
yeah,
said they were
because
trying to do Messi and everything.
yeah,
I was like, these guys are crazy, man.
like they're clowning each other, and you see like genuine brotherhood with these people. And
Brotherhood, yeah.
there are some of the players that don't play in the same team as them, but you're just laughing at the interaction. And this is not them trying to be, to act for the camera. This is them on a day-to-day basis, right? Like, and when you look at that, the interaction that you're seeing, all the numbers you've mentioned right now, you're not going to get that from any AFCON, from any Euros tournament. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, and I'm not sorry. You're not going to get that from any of those other tournaments, because it doesn't just hit the same. AFCON is different. Like there's just a different vibe to it. Like the spirit, the way people interact with it. You're having, fun banter, fun interactions, memes being generated from it. There's just a level that AFCON brings, and one, it unites the whole of Africa as a whole. But it's just like we are all just in one same pot, if that makes sense. And for me, and I will say this anywhere in the world, World Cup is first, AFCON is the second best tournament in the entire world. And the numbers just
Finito.
back it.
That's from Olumide, straight from Olumide's mouth. You understand? That's it. Simple. That's the end.
Simple, man. Yeah, definitely.
So I'll say some other things here. So to add to what you just said here, I think what also contributed to those numbers is the fact that we have a large diaspora community as well. Because I don't know if you remember, like in the last episode, right, where we spoke about CAF going on like a road tour
Yeah, tour.
to
Yeah,
Europe,
I remember. Yeah.
where they went to London and they went to Paris as well. So I mean, we have a huge community, in those places. So I think that also galvanized a lot of people to actually like watch the tournaments.
Yes.
And not just in
Yes, I
Europe as
agree.
well. I mean, we have a huge, in Canada, you're there right now. So there's a huge community of
Population,
Africans
yeah.
over there.
Yeah.
Also in Asia, I don't know much about Asia, but I'm guessing they are there as well.
Oh, they're there. I went to Japan one time, and
There
I
we go.
saw a Nigerian person running a Nigerian
They call
restaurant.
them Blasians, even like half Asians, half
Yeah,
African.
but this man, this particular person was running, like I ate eba and okra soup in Japan.
There we
Do you
go.
understand? Do you
There
understand?
we fucking go. Yeah, bro. So it's crazy, like
So-
Yeah, so that's that. That's that on the numbers. But then I'm now looking at the fan part, like so in the stadiums and everything. So I'm sure obviously the most famous, super fan of this AFCON was this guy from DRC called Boladinga, right? And then he was doing this famous Lumumba, pose, right?
Pose,
So that went everywhere. I mean, I don't know if you've heard that, like
Viral.
recently,
Yeah,
like the
I followed it.
president of DRC gave him a brand new car, and I
Yes,
think he
yes,
also
I saw that.
was awarded. And he was awarded another trophy, a statue or something like that from the ambassador of DRC to from Morocco to DRC. So he came to the office and everything and took pictures. So it's like, yo, that was amazing. I actually loved. I don't know how you are standing for the entire 90
For the
minutes.
entire game
like
as
this,
well.
bro. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. Like this 5 minutes, man. They pay me already. So I don't know how this guy did it for 90 minutes and like plus obviously the extra minutes and everything. That's crazy, bro. That's actually crazy. So that's one thing that I really enjoyed. Another thing was the sporting of celebrities, both footballers,
Yes.
like Mbappe, Akon, I Show Speed. I Show Speed was in Lagos recently, and everything. So he went on an African tour. So he was there also at the stadium. So it was just really great. Although I want to throw a little banter to my Ghanaian brothers and sisters. We did not see you people. Where were you people in this whole competition? We did not see you, my brothers and sisters. Okay, that's it. I'm done. Thank you.
Nah, Ghana, we love you still regardless, but yeah, you guys missed out.
I love my Ghanaian brothers and sisters. I live there for a bit, so I love them so much.
Listen, I think if you listen to us for a long time, you know how we banter Ghana a lot. And it's just good fun. Even though you guys said you said
you see what that referee did? I have to banter them.
You said that's what I was gonna say. You sent how do you even say it? A weapon fashioned against us. In that stupid referee that you guys, anyways, that man wants to create chaos between Nigeria and Ghana, but we'll not allow it. It's not good time. Like it was just a terrible stuff. But I guess that's a good segue for us into some of the funny, crazy, and controversial things that happen at the AFCON. I don't know. And I think we've been alluding to this throughout this episode, and I'll just say it as is. I think
go for it,
Morocco as a host nation were great. but as a playing nation in the tournament,
Yes.
absolutely terrible.
Terrible.
Absolutely terrible. The
Abysmal. Another word.
officiation throughout the time, and CAF has some, blood on their hands on this one, if I'm being honest. The way Morocco was, I get it, like, being the host nation, you get a bit of professional treatment, but this one was a different level I've never seen in my life before.
Mhm.
Like, it was just like, are we in the metrics? Are we seeing this? Are people blinded by this? Because initially, I wasn't following Morocco's team when they were playing. Obviously, I'm Nigerian, following Nigerian team, and a few here and there. And plus, life was life, man. I'm not going to be at work, and I'll be watching the game. It's a bit, But you hear when Morocco plays a certain team, you just see on Twitter that the refereeing was terrible, and you're like, huh? Doesn't make any sense. And as the tournament progressed, it was the same thing over and over and over and over again. It was like, it felt like you were hearing something you had heard yesterday in like 3 days time, and it felt like, am I having deja vu, or this is a new situation that's happening again, right? And I don't know what happened. Because Morocco played at the World Cup and they played very well without any
Yeah.
preferential treatment, right?
Yes.
They played good football. And I genuinely think they are one of the best teams in Africa because of the way they play it. They attractive football, the kind of tactical awareness that the manager approaches the game with. So to go into a tournament like this and be trying, for lack of a better word, to cheat your way into winning the tournament was actually incredibly sad. Like, it's like going out sad, in my opinion, because why? But again, I'll let you talk more about it, because
Yeah.
I feel like if I start to talk more, I'm going to take over the entire conversation. But yeah,
I get it. Yeah, I mean, it was just show of desperation. They were too desperate to win it,
yes,
and then they went ahead to, do all sorts, which was not supposed to be, right? So yeah, I mean, and I'm happy that they didn't end up winning the competition. Now, I'm not going to
no,
mince
sorry
my
about
words
that.
or anything. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry, but not sorry. So yes, so some of the things that happened, like funny, crazy, controversial events, there were a lot of them. There were a lot. So I'll start with like I mean, this was in the earlier stages, right? Where the stadiums were not filled up, right? So I was hearing that like the organizers, I think 20 minutes into the competition, into the games, they actually allowed fans to go in free of charge. So they didn't have to pay, tickets to get in. So obviously, like they
it's
want to
incredible.
have that stadium is filled up and has
Filled
that
up, yeah.
atmosphere. So I know that happened, which was a bit funny, right? I mean, like I don't think I've ever heard of that before in my life. But
Before, no,
that
no.
happened. That was one. Then this was definitely controversial and leaning more to the racist side of things because why are you throwing a banana at Noah Bali? After the like that didn't make any sense whatsoever. I don't know who threw it, but I think that person should be banned for life. You don't do things like that. It's
It
horrible.
was
It's
honestly,
it's just
it was,
not done. You don't do that kind
yeah.
of stuff. That one happened, and I like the way he actually reacted to that. Some people would like really have, thrown a tantrum, but he was even laughing about it. Like, you see people, and you people don't really matter, at the end of the day. So I like the way he kind of reacted to that. Then the very famous one that it got the world talking is the ball boys and some security men, taking the
And
towels
some
off the
players,
keeper. Like,
Moroccan
what
players
what
as
are
well.
we doing? Like, what is going on? Is it like, oh, is it this whole myth or like thing about like, oh, there's the black magic in the tower? Like, bro, the weather was it was wet, it was raining a lot. So obviously they need to clean their gloves, and everything so that they can grip the ball properly. That was all the towel was meant for. Nothing about like, oh, it was helping them to win the game. Nothing like that. So I didn't have a clue as to what they were doing because it's like every one of them was like so hell bent on taking the
It was so
towel off the
obvious.
keeper. Like,
It was so
bro, like,
obvious. Like, they did this in the semifinals against Nigeria. They did the
yeah.
same behavior in the finals against Senegal. Like, to me, it just showed how lack of, like, they were not sporty. They were not, thinking about people. It was just more about like, they were so selfish and self-centered in the way they acted and reacted to so many things during that tournament. There's no reason why a ball
Yeah.
boy should leave the side of where the throwing of the balls are to come and
Mhm.
get the towel. There's no reason for the ball boys to be dragging the second goalkeeper for Senegal to get the towel off them. There is no reason why you should be stealing the towel of a goalkeeper while he's playing, distracting him, making, throwing things object at him. Honestly, how Morocco one fair play team of the tournament
You guys did that.
is beyond me. It's genuinely beyond me.
Bro,
Again, like I said,
it's
CAF
just
is
so funny.
obviously, very, because last year's CAF, they did so well. There was no controversy. Like everybody that went to Ivory Coast felt like, we had a good tournament. We lost. Nigeria lost in the final, but you don't see us saying the referee cheated or this like that. But how crazy it is where every single nation in the world is happy that you lost. Do you know how crazy that is? Do you know how crazy how you one nation unites every other nation in the world? That's how poorly Morocco presented himself from the playing standpoint. We're getting players like Hakimi, Sabiri, who play in good teams. Hakimi has played in PSG. He plays in PSG currently. He's played in Real Madrid. He's played in Inter Milan. Those are big, big clubs. And you come and behave like that on the world stage? Stealing towels? National towels winners. Is that what we're doing? Is that actually what we're doing? National towel winners. Is that what we're doing right now? It's actually crazy to me, honestly. But still part of the madness that they did. And I'm just grateful. And I know this sounds bad. I'm grateful they did not win the tournament, because I think if they won it, it would have been a taint. The only people that would celebrate the win would have been Moroccans, and every other person will tell you, yeah, you guys didn't deserve that win. You cheated to win this stuff. So, but yeah, moving into like the final game verdict as well. Oh, you still got something to tell? Yeah, go ahead.
I'll give you some before.
Okay.
The whole thing about when the Senegalese players got to Rabat for the final game, and then there wasn't any security.
For putting that up. Yeah.
So they were like in the midst of fans, Moroccan fans. Nothing at all. I know during the entire competition, there was proper security details and everything that went with the players or the countries. But then all of a sudden, because Senegal is playing you guys in the finals, so they now go with the regular people on the streets, and it doesn't make any sense. That was a bit controversial to me. I also heard, I don't know how true this is, but where they were supposed to train before that final game, they were going to spy on their tactics.
Spygate.
Right?
Yes.
So that was something that I also heard of. Like, that's horrible. Like, you don't do stuff like that. You give them a proper training ground where, it's just them, doing their thing.
It's a neutral conversation. Yeah.
That's another thing. This one is a bit, I'm just gonna be very careful with it, because, they were saying that like one journalist from Mali died, in the hotel. I'm not blaming anybody, but yeah, it was crazy that happened. And then they said another Cameroonian supporter also died. I think also the similar fashions. I think he also in his hotel room or something like that. So that was crazy, like, that happened, during this competition. And that's all I'll say on that. And then also another thing that I really enjoyed was when Akko, did that celebration.
Yeah.
When we were playing against them,
that Algerian boy is a very stupid boy.
That scene suits me dive about. It's
a very stupid boy,
because obviously something happened in the previous game against Algeria.
Yeah.
Where one of their players did something like this and then fell on the floor like as if the guy died. Like, you don't do that, like this guy.
See, I posted this on my personal page, right? For me, I think banter is good, it's fun, but there are certain banters that you have to learn about. You don't cross. Luamba to Africa, not even just to Congo. Lumumba to Africa, not just to Congo, is a sign of
freedom,
right? Is a sign of like what the struggles that people went through. And if you read, we're not going to dive deep into it, but if you read about him, you understand how important it is not to joke about such a character, such a human being. And to make that gesture of him falling off and dying, technically, by Amor for Algeria, it just shows the lack of exposure, even the level of stupidity that you must have.
I got vexed.
No. Seriously, think about this. This is a freedom fighter that the way he passed was not a natural causes, right? Like, if you read more about it, this is not a political podcast. I would let you, I believe people that listen to us are well educated enough and they can read and write. There's probably like millions of videos on YouTube that you can go watch and to get a better sense of who this man was, right? And to then make that gesture of him dying on the world stage in an African tournament is like, that's a banter you cannot cross, right? That's a level you cannot cross. And this man crossed it. And it was great to see Akko score a goal and still make that to say, hey, we are with you with that gesture. And I think we got a new sort of relationship. No relationship between Nigeria is good. Nigeria and like no relationship in Africa is going to beat the relationship Nigerians and Ghanaians have. But I think Congolese people have a different level of respect for Nigeria after that what Accor did. And this is just how you understand, the difference between someone that is learned and is understanding of the situation of what freedom means to them, to some guy that thinks, they're better than Africans, for lack
Yeah.
of a better word. That's where I'm going to leave it. Leave
But
that
I
at.
mean, fair play to the Algerian side. So I think they came out to apologize, for what that particular player did. I mean, it's all fair, right? But I mean, what he did was obviously unacceptable. They came out to apologize. So I mean, we'll just leave it at that. So it's not like as if we're really going at Algeria. But yeah, what he did
Yeah.
was horrible. But thankfully, they came
That.
out to apologize. So
If they came
yeah,
out to apologize, that's good.
yeah,
But
yeah, they did.
there's something you shouldn't have done in the first place. But
Yeah,
hey, we move on. So yeah, so I guess wanted to talk about the final game verdict.
yeah.
One that shall never end. I think this is the craziest finals I've seen in my life. Senegal, so again, I'm sure a lot of people know about this, but Senegal had scored a goal which was disallowed, which genuinely I think was incorrectly disallowed because the way Akimi fell, I don't know how you're going to go back to your kids and look at your kids in the face and say you fell that easily, in my opinion. I just feel like diving and pretending and being pretentious should be something that as a grown-ass man you need to remove from your life, because the way he fell was just like,
Oh, is it Diaz?
no, not Diaz. So when Senegal scored,
Hakimi. Right. When
Hakimi.
Senegal scored. Yes.
So
Yes.
the push was not a push, bro. That
No,
wasn't a push.
it was not.
Like that wasn't like a real push. Like
It was.
what
I
are we
mean, they were
doing
both struggling to get the ball, so it
to
was
get the
like, yeah, fine.
ball, right?
Yeah, it was
So
not.
he fell, and obviously how the ref they canceled it, and excuse me, literally like 5 minutes later, Senegal Morocco got an opportunity for a penalty. Now, the ref did not see it. Weirdly enough, VAR wasn't very active throughout the tournament, but suddenly in this final, VAR came in all guns blazing, and you saw the way Diaz was reacting and was like, "Go and check, there's a foul," and he was crying like a child. And I love what Tao did, man. The manager of Senegal. I don't care. Popped out. Listen, in this life, no grief for anybody. Don't allow anybody to make you feel like, like I genuinely like the approach. He literally called his entire team, get off the damn pitch. Go and win the final by yourself, Morocco. Go and play by yourself. And I think even the FIFA president was red. I think CAF president was embarrassed with the situation, but I think this was a thing that was coming. Morocco had been getting favoritism throughout the entire tournament, and it was just like, enough is enough. We've had enough. And I don't know, what did you think about that? Like, what was your reaction when you saw that on TV?
Yeah, bro, that final was crazy. That final was bro. It was crazy, is what I'll say. Right. So, I mean, I like the way everything panned out.
Yes.
I mean, Senegal going on to win the entire thing. So, I'll start with where you started from, the call, against Senegal not, scoring. That was clear. That was a clear enough goal. It should not have been
opinion, I
allowed,
agree.
in my
I agree
opinion, right?
100%.
I mean, everybody has their own. But for me, it was a goal. It should have stood. Then, like you said, 5 minutes after, I mean, it was a penalty. Let's be honest. What's his name? I think I've forgotten his name now. He plays Diouf. He pulled Diaz. Yeah, so West Ham. He pulled Diaz. Clearly, like that was definitely a foul in the 18-yard box. But what I'm saying is that, like, you go ahead and then give them the penalty, which you should have. But what I'm saying is that, like, that other goal, the first one should have stood. So it was obviously in protest of what happened 5 minutes ago, because it doesn't make any sense. That means if Diaz now takes the penalty, they go on to win. What then happens? Then they will just take it like that? No. So I really loved what Pap Chow did, telling his players to come off the pitch. Honestly, like, because I was watching this in the house that day, right?
Yeah.
And I was so livid. I was like, myself, I want to enter inside the TV, self, go fight the referee myself. Because you cannot do that. You cannot.
It was mind bugging. It was
you cannot
mind
do
bugging.
that, bro. You cannot. Like, it was so like honestly, I was so annoyed like that night. So when Pap Chow told this, I said, yes, well done. You are in my head. You are thinking what I'm thinking about. Take them off the pitch. Take them off. So, I mean, obviously, like, that should not have happened. I mean, because it's against the laws of the game, right? That whatever the
But this
official
is the thing.
referee is the number one man on the pitch. Is the one that has the final
Yes.
say, which is
Yeah.
fair. But look, we're not going to be oppressed. We've seen what has happened, in the
Throughout the
entire
tournament.
competition.
Yes.
So it's like they were like they're not going to take this themselves. And see, let's call it spade a spade. Like it was for me the right thing. Was the wrong thing to do? It was kind of the wrong thing to do in the right way.
In the right time.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, but hey, like I liked what he did, and I think that also kind of unsettled,
the
CAF
Moroccan.
themselves. The Moroccan teams themselves. It was a psychological, like, play. This really walked off the pitch. Oh, do you know what I'm saying? Like, because nobody really expected them to do that.
It's
You understand?
never
So
been done
everybody was
before, at least in recent times.
exactly.
In recent times, it's never been
I
done
remember
before.
to myself. I don't
It's
think I've
never
ever
been done
seen that
before.
before.
I've heard
So they
stories
were
about people say
not sure.
the tournament cheated for these people, but like to have
No.
a team
No,
walk
no.
off the pitch, I don't think it's been done before in recent times.
Yeah.
So
So for me, I was happy. But I mean, hey, kudos to Mani as well, for also coming back to tell,
yes,
what, let's come back to the pitch. Let's just
proper
finish
legend,
it.
man.
Hopefully,
Proper
like,
legend.
the earthly gods, well, football gods will be on our side, And I think not that I think they were definitely on their side.
They were.
But look, I have a controversial take, on the penalty. I genuinely think that penalty take by Diaz was purposely missed.
I categorically
felt like,
disagree.
see, that's what I say. Like, see,
Well, go ahead.
my own
Go
opinion.
ahead.
I might be wrong.
Yeah.
For me,
go ahead.
And you know why I say this? Because I think there was a discussion during that whole drama where Senegal was, they were saying, I feel like some calls were made, or like, some people were like, talking, see, I understand maybe what happened earlier. You guys is allowing our goal. Okay, fine. You know what? Just to make the game fair, let us go on to miss that penalty. And why I'm saying is because of I saw the reactions of the Senegalese players and the Moroccan players. Nobody really gave, see, this is like the dying minutes. Like, I think it was just like probably like 2 minutes or 3 minutes to the end of the game.
He scores that penalty, the game is ended.
And that's it.
Pretty much.
Game is ended.
Pretty much.
But if you saw,
because remember, it took them about 15 minutes or 20 minutes for them to actually get back onto the pitch as well. But yeah, carry on.
So me, I felt like the way they reacted was like, yeah, he was going to do that anyways, because it's like they already spoke about it earlier. Look, I might be wrong, or maybe it's me that is in my head, but some other people saw what I saw too. Some people are like, guy, it's like you're delusional. Like, what do you mean that, how can Morocco, that they have been so desperate the entire competition, now tell them to go and miss the penalty in the diamonds that will give them the whole trophy that they've not won in like what, 79 years or
actually 50 years.
It's like,
50
you
years.
know what I'm saying? It's like, why would you do that? But for me, honestly, I think, because normally it's not even the penalty taker. I think it's Hakimi that is the penalty taker. So they gave it to him because I guess he's the one that won the penalty. It's like, Baba just won.
He's the one that won penalty, and I think they also wanted him to be highest goal scorer in the.
Well, he was already highest goal scorer. He had 5 goals already. So I mean,
okay,
maybe because of the third place game. But yeah, I mean, they already played down before, so obviously he was still going to be the highest goal scorer. Either ways, do you understand? So for me, I felt like they said he should miss it. This is my own opinion. This is my own take. I might be wrong.
I respect your take, but I disagree with it because
when you look
at the reaction of the Moroccan coach after he missed that penalty, because he missed that penalty and they blew for extra time, right? If you remember, the way he spoke to him, there was like a shot, like maybe 10, 15 seconds clip. He was berating him. He was pretty much kind of like, when you know that conversation they're having, you may not understand the language they're speaking, but when you see the conversation, the body language that the coach and the player were having, you could tell, like, was telling him, like, how can you do such a thing at this stage of the tournament? Also, when you look at when they were presenting the trophies of, best goalkeeper, best player, highest goal scorer, whatever, at the end of the tournament, you could see his face. It was literally like he could not believe it. Like he wanted to cry.
That's normal because
he could not believe what just happened. Because, and this is the thing, my thought process is that he's thinking from a perspective of, I could have won this tournament for us, but I wanted to do, because to me, I think it was more of, he wanted to show off. It was more of like personal glory. He was already looking at the headlines. The Paneka that won us the finals after 50 years. This is my take on it. This is my take on it.
Anyway, hey, that's fair.
This is my take on it, right? I genuinely think that he was thinking from a perspective of, all the glories, all the camera lights, action, like Diaz, the boy that decided to come from Spain to Morocco and Panenka his way into winning Morocco their first tournament. This is like all the headlines that was in his head, in my opinion. Like from what I saw, the way he reacted, like you can't react to getting a penalty, like wanting a penalty that badly, and you go and miss it on purpose. I cannot understand that. I cannot agree with that take. I cannot believe this was what he did, because the referee did not see that was a penalty. The linesman did not see it was a penalty. It was Diaz, the reaction and the petulant, the way he was acting like a child,
No, see,
was what
DR was
attracted.
eventually going to check it now, Baba. It was just like he was the one that first like, bro, that was definitely a foul.
Yeah, he
But
got it. But we've watched Premier League games, we've watched Spanish games where a player has gotten a handball unintentionally or intentionally, and it just moves on like nothing happened.
yeah,
And
but
we as fans
this is
talk
this is
about
a
it.
final to win a competition, a
Yeah, I
trophy,
get it.
Baba. It's different from a Premier League game, bro. A Premier League
get it,
game is
but-
like over like months. This is just like a one
Yeah.
game, and then we're in the final game that decides who wins the AFCON trophy, bro. Of course, it's going to react that way.
I don't know, man. I genuinely don't agree with him missing it on purpose, but his reaction is justified. Don't get me wrong. His reaction is justified in the sense that you're right. He's trying to win Morocco the first AFCON tournament in 50 years.
Yeah.
I get it, but I also do not. I cannot wrap it around my head that he missed that on
which
purpose.
is fair, because it doesn't make any sense. Like you guys, you have it in a platter of gold. Literally score the penalty, and then you probably will win the whole thing, right? So it's like, why would you miss it? For me, I'm looking at what transpired before
there. Yeah, I get it. I agree.
So
I get what you're saying.
What's in my head. You understand? I don't forget also the fans. The Senegalese fans who were like, if this thing like we're going to cause,
that's going to be a riot.
It was going to be a riot.
It was going to be a riot for sure.
The Moroccan authorities, they were even beating them with sticks, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the videos. Those videos were
I saw
crazy,
some of it, but I didn't see fully, because I was so invested in more of like
those videos were crazy. So a lot was going on within that 15 to 20 minutes, where the whole game was interrupted. So I feel, look, like I said, I feel like they told him, Baba, just go and miss that penalty, because if you don't miss it, there'll be problem. There will be problem. So look, maybe it's me, but that's what I feel. But anyways, I'm happy that Pab Gil went on to score the winner, and it was they could not say that this one was
it was a beautiful goal. Outside shots. No stories that touch.
It was goals, that should be hanged in the Louvre or whatever it's called, in France. There, like that goal was beautiful. Bro. It was
beautiful
fucking
goal,
like the back heel for Mane, and then Idrissa Gueye giving the ball to Pab Gil. But see, the whole thing was just shooting me, Baba. Look, I saw the reactions in the world from Brazil to Algeria to Egypt.
Happy.
Everybody was lit. Everybody, even in Nigeria,
was happy, man.
Yes. So yes,
everybody was happy.
I think the Teranga Lions of Senegal were deserved winners of that whole tournament, I'm happy they won it. Because I want to say Kama is a bitch, because it's like, yeah, of course, yeah, in your face,
in your own home,
bro, in your own backyard, in
your own backyard.
So yeah, man, that's it for me, man. So I think that's a wrap for me, and that's like, but
wonderful, yeah. So I guess the last thing we'll talk about is the CAF ruling. Obviously, just following off what we're just spoken about in terms of the way the entire tournament, the final especially, was. Senegal, to me, got the short end of the stick in terms of the fines, right? So I'm just going to read some of the fines here. The coach of Senegal was given a 5-match suspension and fined $100,000. That's USD, not Zim dollars. $100,000. Ndai was also, and Ismail Assar were also suspended for 2 games. The Senegalese FA was fined $615,000.
Mm-hmm.
You're hearing the big numbers that Senegal is getting. Now, let's go to Morocco. Hakimi was suspended for 1 match.
Actually, 2 games.
2-match suspension for Hakimi.
Yeah.
Then Sabiri, Towel Boy. Towel the law.
Towel
ambassador. He got 3-match suspension and $100,000 fine. The Moroccan FA, who were cheating throughout the entire tournament, were fined just $300K.
Let's see, Baba, so that they don't come back for us. Let's say they were cheating allegedly. You understand?
Allegedly, yes, sorry. Allegedly cheating.
We don't put them there. We said allegedly.
So we're fined $300,000. The ball boys, Coupe boys, as far as I'm concerned, were fined just 200K. I don't think those boys have 200K, and I think they're not going to
No,
pay it anyways.
I think it's the Moroccan FA that is going to pay
FA that's
for all
probably
of
going to
that.
pay. The CAF also rejected the appeal lodged by
Yeah.
Morocco because Morocco has no shame. Apparently, did you hear this? They lodged a complaint that Senegal was not supposed to win the tournament because of something. And I'm just like, are you people serious? Are you actually shameless? Do you have no
Dead
shame?
on arrival.
Do you have no shame? But hey,
I think
there's
you missed out the 15K for the fans using the lasers. So I think the entire like fine for them was
okay.
315. Yeah, dollars.
Interesting. I didn't even see that. Okay, good to hear. But again, all this fine, as far as I'm concerned, it was well worth it. As far as Senegal is concerned, like they did not allow themselves to be written off of history. Because trust me, if Morocco has won it, nobody will remember Senegal. It's only Senegals and a few people who will, and this is how they'll wipe off history and say Morocco ended a 50-year wait. You will wait another 51 years. Yeah, silly gooses. But hey,
Yeah.
I guess that is it for us. Anything else you wanted to
Oh,
add?
no, look, it was a fantastic tournament. So if it's just for me to just rate it, but I really enjoyed the tournament because of how
I did
well
as
the
well.
Super Eagles played.
Yes.
Props up to all the players, to the coach, to the technical team, to the fans. Even though we're not in our numbers, but the ones that were there were still, making their voices heard. So I'm like,
Yes.
everything was really good, in terms of like, how well Morocco hosted the competition.
Yes.
Outside of the games that they played in, right? Because there was a bit of controversial calls. But generally speaking, I think the competition was great. And I also have to give kudos to CAF. Because without CAF, this would not have happened. Even though
Yeah, I agree.
CAF also
There's a
they have some
little,
questions they need to answer,
question
and all
mark.
that. But
Yeah.
generally speaking, I think it was a fantastic tournament. And I'm happy that, Senegal went on to win it, even though I wanted obviously Nigeria to win it. But if
Yeah.
not Nigeria, who else? Senegal. So like,
Senegal, yeah.
well done to them. And then looking forward to the next AFCON, which is next year, in 3 countries for the first time. So, like, let's see how
That
that
sounds very
pans out.
cool, but it sounds like a
Yeah, yeah.
logistics nightmare, but it sounds
Well,
very cool as well.
I
So
want to believe that, like, they have the right guys, that actually can do the
to
job.
put it together, yeah.
I try to deliver, right? So, but yeah, if I was to rate the entire competition, I'd say I'd say 7.5, 6,
Now,
8.
I was thinking about the same. I was going to actually say
Yeah,
7,
7.5, 8 sha, 7.5, 8,
and they lost
because of
3 points
obvious.
because of the way the refereeing and whatever. But
Yeah, the
like
referee.
I said earlier, just purely based on the way the tournament and the infrastructure that Morocco provided, all I've said a 9, like I mentioned earlier. But the overall, that is infrastructure plus what happened on the pitches, the information that we're getting, the way some of these North Africans were behaving. Yeah, solid 7/10, man. But overall, great tournament. I don't think we are ever going to see a tournament like this before again. A tournament where players are like, yeah, we're out of here. It's honestly, I could not believe my eyes. But overall, great tournament, great experience. But yeah, I think that wraps it for us in terms of AFCON reaction post AFCON. Like we mentioned, we're going to try and make sure at least one episode per month. So look forward to that. Subscribe on all platforms. Like, share, all
Thank you
of
very
that,
much.
please. We're going to be on YouTube. We're going to be on TikTok. We have an Instagram page as well. We're going to attach all of that to here. So again, this is what we are, Jersey 22 podcast. You probably can see it here on the video. And if you're listening to us, it's been a great tournament. Okwe, as always, love. And I wish you guys all the best in this new year. Catch you in the next one. Peace.
Lumumba.
Peace. Yes. Lumumba.
Lumumba.
All right, man. Take care, guys. Stay safe.
All right,
Bye-bye.
guys. Cheers.
Bye.